Hello, creative. How do you say no? And how do you say no with confidence? I know that there's a lot of us in the creative service providing field that struggle with how do we say no professionally and with confidence. Hello and welcome to Coaching for Creatives. I'm Aura McKay. This topic came up because I had a conversation with a coaching client who was really struggling with overwhelm, with burnout, with feeling obligated to other people, with not really feeling in control of her time, with getting interrupted with a whole bunch of things. She was struggling to be able to manage all of the projects and things she committed to. She felt stressed and behind all the time. And yet people would ask her to do something and she would still say yes. She asked me, how do I learn how to say no and feel confident saying no? Some of you may be listening to this and thinking, I can say no, no problem. But check to see if this is true because sometimes we are 100% confident saying no to things in one domain of our life. But then as soon as we go into another domain, it becomes way harder. I know people who are really great about boundaries and saying no in their personal lives. But when it comes to their professional lives, they're just saying yes all the time. And it's getting them into trouble. It's causing them to be overworked and underpaid and overwhelmed. We don't want this for anybody. One of the skills that I'm going to share with you is what can you do to be able to say no to things with confidence and professionally so that you're not necessarily ending up in any of the things that we're afraid of. Let's look first at why are you saying no in the first place? Why are you afraid to say no? That's the better question because when it comes up, there's something that stops us from saying, no, thank you. No, not this opportunity. No, I'm not available. No, I am no longer interested. No, this isn't for me. No, I decline. A lot of times, what stops us from saying it is fear. What is the fear? What are we afraid is going to happen? And I think if you can spend some time and just be willing to look at what scares you about saying no, you might get some insight into how to feel more confident about it. For example, some people are afraid to say no in business because they might not get another chance, or they feel like they just have to say yes to everything because they're really struggling for money or income and they just want the clients. Or they might be afraid to say no because they think it might reflect poorly on them, like they don't have the skill set to do it, and they don't want people to think that or believe that, and they're afraid that if they say no they might not have the skill set. They could be afraid that if they say no, they'll sound like a mean person. There's so many reasons and so much fear around declining or saying no. Essentially, saying no is about setting your own boundaries. It's about being mindful about what matters to you, about where you want to spend your time and your energy and your focus. Here are my tips for how you can say no with confidence. First of all, get really clear about what a yes looks like. When we're more clear about what yes looks like, it can be easier to identify, oh, hey, that's not going to work for me. And I know this because I'm really clear what a yes looks like. That makes it way easier for you to say no. For example, when I'm looking at work that comes up or opportunities, and this was way more true when I was doing photography. A lot of times in photography, people want you to do work for free, or they want you to give them some kind of a great deal, or there's an opportunity to be able to contribute your skills and your talent to some great experience. And rather than just saying no all the time and never working for free, and I do have a whole video on is it ever okay to work for free, what I do instead is I look at the three things that I want to have in any project that I agree to. You can, for yourself, identify what are the three things that you need to have present in any project. And I don't always get 3 out of 3. Sometimes I only get 2 out of 3. But for sure, if there's not 2 out of 3, the answer is no. My three things that I look for to be able to evaluate, is this a yes or is this a no? Those three things are: is it creatively interesting and inspiring? Am I going to get challenged to do something creatively that I've never done before? That is it going to give me a chance to grow as a creative? Am I going to learn a specific skill or something that I've been wanting to do or try or participate in? One, is it creatively fulfilling? Number two, is it financially fulfilling? Sometimes I will be willing to take a little bit of a lesser creative fulfillment if I'm getting really well compensated financially. So sometimes I want to look at the money isn't all there, but wow, is it a super creative experience? Ideally, I would have both creative fulfillment and financial fulfillment. And then the third one is the opportunity for me to align with my own values, my own energetic decision about what I want to support and where I want to be, is looking at this soulful fulfillment. Or is my soul fulfilled by it? Another way of saying it is, would my mom be proud of me? I like to contribute my time and energy to projects that are like fulfilling to my soul. They align with causes that I care about, and they make me proud of myself, or they make my parents feel proud, something like that. If I look at a project or an opportunity and I see that it is creatively fulfilling and it's soulfully fulfilling, but maybe there's not as much financial fulfillment, it's not a clear yes. I have to choose whether or not this is still something that's a yes for me, or I might be able to decline or request it to have the fulfillment up in some way. Using three parameters or criteria for whether or not you say yes to something can help you be way more confident when you say no to it. All right. The next thing is about our own boundaries. And I've talked a lot about setting boundaries for yourself and for your business so that you can stay in your flow state, so that you can invest your time and energy where you want to, instead of being pulled away by other people's urgencies, getting sucked into the email vortex, getting distracted by whatever's happening, especially if you're working from home. There are three areas that you can look for your boundaries, and getting really clear on those, again, will help you be able to confidently say, no, I don't have the time available this week, or no, thank you, I can't fit it into my schedule. No, unfortunately, my production schedule is full right now. No, I'm already at capacity. Looking at your time and really being mindful about how you manage your time, how you plan and schedule your time, and what your time boundaries are, especially in terms of interruptions. What is an acceptable interruption to say yes to? And what are you going to say no? You'll have to wait until 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whenever you're now available to the world for their interruptions. And it is absolutely okay. You have permission to not be available to the world. This goes back to the first part of our conversation that says sometimes our fear is that if I'm not available, that they're going to think I'm a bad person, or if I'm not available, I'm going to fail as a parent, or if I'm not available, it's going to say something about how I value their relationship. It is important that if you're going to assert your boundaries and you're going to be practicing saying no, that you have really clear conversations with people about those boundaries, especially if it's going to have an impact on them. So, time boundary, communication boundaries, and environmental boundaries. There's another video that has a lot more information about that if you want to check it out. The last two that I'm going to share with you about how to say no with confidence. One is a little bit tricky. It's a saying no without really saying no. And it's about saying yes and. When someone asks you to do something or take something on, you can say, yes, and I'm available for that next week. Yes, I'd love to. And let me send you a revision to the scope of the project. Yes, and how would you like to pay for that extra service? Yes, and I'm available at 3 p.m. to have that conversation. Yes, and I can't talk right now, but can we reschedule for Thursday? Sometimes you can say no, or you can say yes and. Yes, it sounds like a great project, and I'm not currently available, and I have a referral or somebody that I can send you to. Yes, and it's way outside of the scope of what I'm looking to do in a project, and I have someone I can refer you to. Yes, and is a very powerful way to say no with confidence. And the last piece is that whenever you're taking on a new skill, whether that new skill is sales or marketing or whatever it is, including the new skill of learning how to say no with confidence, whenever you're taking on that new skill, show yourself some compassion. It takes time to get confident with a new skill. And one of the best ways to build confidence is through practice. Practicing your mastery and mastering your practice. How do you practice saying no with confidence? You can ask your friends and family to allow you to practice, or you can work with a coach, or you can come and join one of my awesome mastermind communities where we have a lot of space and support to help you practice any of the skills that you might be struggling with in your freelance creative business. I'm curious, lots of us are struggling with saying no, and we might not even be very good at it. What do you do if you say yes, but then you have to go back and say, actually, no, I can't? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining me here at Coaching for Creatives. I'm Aura McKay, and I will see you here next time.